We
some
are
kind of
in.
weird delay.
All right.
Feedback from, do you have your, I'm getting like, when I talk, there's feedback.
Hold on one
I'm
second.
hearing
Let me get my headphones on. Go ahead. Try now.
All right, let's see if that's working.
Is that better?
That is much better. All right.
Yeah. Your wife calls you Satan. Well, that's a whole set of issues there. Sachin? Well, since you're here and live and asking questions, do you have a website you'd like us to take a look at, be it a potential client or a current client that you're having trouble with?
Or even your own website if you want.
Or even your own website. Yeah, that's actually something that a lot of people, they have rankings for like their agency website, and I can't tell you how many people have been like, I'm getting traffic, and that traffic is more traffic than I get, and they're not getting any leads. And some simple things that you'd be surprised are often issues that I'm seeing. Let's see. Well, so we do have quite a bit of people live, so we'll get started here once somebody gives us a live request. We do have a few requests in the reminder one, so maybe I'll pull from there if I have to. But I would rather give the people who are live, if you have a website you'd like us to look at, we will definitely take a look at it. I'll give that people who are watching right now a few more minutes. So let's talk, Michael, real quick. Let's talk generally about like what your approach is to an audit. Let's first start with a potential client that you have not worked with at all, and it's like the first time you're looking at their website. What is your general approach? Oh.
Okay, so that's a great question. So if I've never worked with them before, and I'm going to be kind of like going into a sales call or anything like that, I kind of want to be armed a little bit with information. So the things that I look for is making sure that their site is indexed. I also want to make sure that their site doesn't have any penalties, so I do a penalty check on it. And that's always the first couple of things that I do. And it's regardless of if it's a brand new client or even if it's another client that I think I'm having trouble with. I always want to make sure I do those two checks first before doing anything else.
Okay. Well, we do have a submission, so we'll go ahead and get started, and we can give some more specific recommendations. So this is really small on my screen. This is where I'm going to start. This is submitted by Jacob. And Jacob, if you could, what I'm also going to do, like, let's say I'm going to try to approach this from the different angles all at the same time, but maybe like, is this a client of yours or is this your own website? That way we can kind of fork from there in terms of the questions I ask. So go ahead and put a response in there and let me know what the context is for that. My guess is that this is maybe your website. Let me see, or a client website. I'm gonna do this start as if this is a potential client website. And I'm gonna look here, and I'm gonna ask them. I'm gonna see they have 4 referring domains. They do actually have some keywords that they're ranking for. Let's see if I can click on this. So I'm going to see what kind of keywords they're ranking for. So credit repair, that's kind of interesting. I'm not sure why they would rank for credit repair cloud reviews. That's kind of weird. VA claim, video production San Antonio. Okay, so they are, let's see, where's the position? Page 3 for that. So they're not like nowhere, but more importantly, I would go, let's see, go back. I'd look at this referring domains and I would think, okay, well, I'd ask them, are you doing SEO right now? And if they say yes, then I would do some variation of your current SEO company is not really doing what they should be doing for you. And that would be, and then I'd kind of take the conversation from there. Let's see. This is his own personal website, just trying to get it to rank for video production San Antonio. Okay. So I'll give some thoughts, and it's like Michael might actually have some different things that he does, and that's totally fine. That's totally normal. So please don't think that I'm going to be like mad at him or that he has to agree with me on exactly what he wants to do. Credit repair was a portfolio item for one of my clients. Yeah, so that could be muddying the waters a little bit. You want your site, like Google gives preference to sites that have a narrow focus. And Sachin, I'm going to answer your question in a minute about that, but I'm going to stick with Jacob's site audit for right now. So like Amazon can rank for just about everything, but that's because they have so much incredible amount of authority. And if you don't know what authority is, it's, a shorthand for that would be like the amount of referring domains. Can you see my mouse on the screen when I run it around at all, Michael?
I can't see it on the Facebook Live. I can sort of see where you're going, but it doesn't really show up on the other side.
I wonder if there's a way for me to show my mouse. So this at the top middle of the screen here, kind of highlighting it. Maybe that's showing up. Yeah, it's changing colors. Referring domains is kind of a shorthand for authority, and Amazon's going to have, I don't know, like a million or millions of a buttload of referring domains, and so that's why they're able to rank for a lot of things. If you have a local site and you have a limited budget and you're really trying to stay focused on something, you want to kind of narrow the focus on your website. Now, if it's sample work, you still kind of maybe want it on that there for like a sales standpoint. But you want to be careful with how you label it and what you put the URL and the title for. And if it really is super irrelevant and ranking for irrelevant things, you might want to consider making it so that page is, you tell the search engines to no index that. Okay, so video production San Antonio. Let me do a quick search here. So I wonder how much that gets searched. Anything else, Michael, that while I'm pulling up a little bit of data that you would look at when you first pull up Ahrefs? Or is there another tool that you would use as opposed to Ahrefs?
Currently, I'm using SEMrush.
Okay.
So, you know, the setup, you're going to be able to get similar data from there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, the number of backlinks that we see coming in, referring domains is 7. So it's, you know, not much different than what you have there. It's still very little. You know, if they're trying to look for or rank for video production, then of course I'm going to go through the on-page stuff as well to see just how well that's set up. Because the customer store, obviously, it doesn't have anything in the domain that says anything about video production.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really going to look at, you know, title, meta description.
Yeah, let's take a look at that. I'm going to pull this up.
Like
and due to the nature of how this is set up, I can't show the title in this, but the title of the page is Video Production San Antonio bar the customer story or video agency. So please continue. I interrupted you, Michael. I'd like to hear more about where you'd go from here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the normal on-page stuff, right? Title, description, H1, and then also of the referring domains, what kind of stuff is actually linking back. And then also you can look at if he has a specific pages like service pages or anything like that are going to be ranking for those terms. I guess the question right now that I would ask him is like which page is he actually trying to rank for that term? Is it going to be the home page, or does he have an inner page that he's trying to rank for?
I mean, if it's the primary thing, then yeah, he could kind of pick and choose. I'd probably do the home page, but I'm trying to make it so I can click on this, but it's not letting me. So I kind of want to run the mouse over. If I run the mouse over the services in a different tab, it kind of has animated explainers, customer testimonials, and event video production. I mean, video production San Antonio gets searched 390 times a month, so I think that would be. Let me check his comments. Okay, so homepage. So he'd probably want to rank the homepage, and that's fine. Your title matters, but also these inner pages matter. What you do here on the inner pages. Let me check the some of the. Also, to me, what I tell clients is the biggest kind of lever you can pull, the simplest in terms of from bang for your buck, is going to be the domain name. Now, I understand the customer story is a really, like, from a branding standpoint, is great. But I would try to integrate your brand in with some parts of your main video, with some of your domain names. So with main keywords. So for example, maybe the customer story videoproduction.com. Maybe that's too long. I don't know. Maybe there's other ways to integrate that. But by having those words in your domain name, it's going to make you just much easier for you to rank for those keywords. And then as Michael mentioned, like you got your H1 and your URLs and your titles. So your title is, what was it? Video production San Antonio. I mean, that's fine. Let's see what your H1 is. H1. Video production expertise in San Antonio. Let's see if there are maps listings. So there's maps listings. So you also have to consider maps SEO here, which is its own kind of can of worms. So ranking in the maps is going to be really helpful for you. So you would want to study up on maps SEO, which is way out. Giving the exact specifics of what you do is way outside what I can give you here. But what you do on your site and off your site is a little different than what you would normally do, and sometimes completely different. And there's opportunities that are completely different. So you want to pay attention to your H1. So do you have H2 tags? Oh crap. Let's go back. Okay, H2. Like if you go from your title to your H1 to your H2, it's a little bit repetitive, kind of saying the same thing over and over again. I would try to mix in like long tail specific things in there.
And David, do you want to go open up another tab and just go to like site : and then his domain name, his root domain name, just so we can see.
It's not with the, I'm using vMix. It's not so simple, so I can do that, but it'll take me a second. Go ahead and talk through what your thoughts are on that, and I'll add that.
So the site : search there will give you like all pages that are indexed in Google. And generally Google is going to rank them kind of based on what they look at as from an authority standpoint from the inner pages. So what we're looking for is not only checking out the titles and the meta descriptions and all that kind of stuff, but also what pages are coming up on this first page here. Since you have, looks like 47 results that are coming in, what are the most important pages that, from the eyes of Google, that are going to be on here, right? So it's just like any other thing. If we're doing a search for video production, those top 10 pages can be ranked in authority. Same thing comes from your website. So I'm seeing a lot of cleanup that needs to be done. Like a better job theming your website for video production.
That's a good point. Look how much customer story. There's video production at that first result, but then after that, I really don't see it.
Yeah, and then it's like ClickFunnels and events and blogs, and it's not really any of the pages, service pages that you would want to have ranked in there. So really kind of a better job with your on-page SEO, theming the pages on the titles and descriptions, but also the interlinking. So you're actually building out those silos that are going to push the right pages to the top there.
I think I figured out. Here we go. Now I can. Working with new software here, so we can see like his services here. Again, if video production is your number one thing, this is related. Like animated explainers is related to video production. So we're not saying, at least I'm not. Maybe I can ask for clarification with Michael. I'm not saying remove this, but if you're ranking for credit repair as we saw before. That's something that I would want to de-optimize for sure. But I like Michael's idea there with the with looking at this right here. I think that's pretty useful. And then building links. I mean, you only have 4 referring domains according to Ahrefs, so that's going to be a huge. Just long term, it's just going to make it easier and easier to rank relevant links. And I don't think you're going to need a ton of links. My guess is that this is not wildly competitive. Let's see. Want to go in here. I'm going to answer. So it's hard to see the previous comments. Hold on one second. Why is it not showing me?
Okay, so I have the question here from Session.
Yes.
So was wondering if getting leads for a small business loan service with SEO would be a good model. So is that like
getting loans? Say that one more time. Getting loans for a small business?
Getting leads for a small business loan service with SEO.
So it would be like a lead gen model and not like a client model, or it could be a rank and rent model. Honestly, I haven't looked at it, but I would guess that at least right now, like if you could get those leads like really rapidly, like if you get to where you're generating those leads really quickly, that could be pretty beneficial. I would have some concerns about like the kinds of clients you would get. A lot of them might not be able to pay for the leads until they got small business loan. Wait, no, we're talking about for banks. I'm turning myself around here. So is this small business loans? Man, I wish I could see the question.
Yeah, so I guess who's doing the
who's getting the loan?
Yeah.
Is it?
Well, who's the client? Yeah, is it the banks generating the loan?
It has to be the bank, right? Because I don't think he would be
well,
like.
it could be a third-party provider that's doing the generation of the loan. So
yeah, that's true. They could be maybe I don't know. I'd have to do more research on that. I mean, I think short term maybe yes, but I would typically want, like right now there's a lot of opportunities, but I would really want to contrast any opportunity that I see with what is what this long-term potential is. So there are some things that are hot now that are going to continue to be hot, and there are other things that are hot now that are just going to go peter off in presumably a few months or even just later this year, and that's not what I would want to build the foundation of my business on. At the same time, if there's like an opportunity where you can, this month you can get an extra couple $100,000 or something, and then that's it, and then nothing after that, I don't find a problem with that. It has to be really high though to justify something that isn't going to build towards something greater in the future. Oh, Kyle joining us. Luma Weddings. Let's see it. .com. I feel like. Hold on one second. I think I've looked at this before. Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
And while I'm seeing a bunch of people just join on here. So if you have a site that you want us to review really quickly, make sure you put it in there.
Okay.
Put it in the comments so we can check it out.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take a look at this. He came live and he suggested it. Oh, we got another one as well. So we'll do. What are your thoughts on this site? So Luma Weddings. Why don't you? So Michael, if you could make sure so that these comments, I'm not figuring out how to see deeper in the comments. If you see people coming by with comments, do me a favor and make a note of those sites. So
sure.
Let's see.
We got
Luma Weddings.
two more websites right now. Kyle submitted one for the Luna Weddings, and then Nicholas Mann did one for the mortgage website.
Let's start well, I got this page up here, lumaweddings.com. So let's see if that lets me. There we go. So Seattle wedding photographer. I believe he's asked me about this before. I think this is competitive. So I'm going to look at this, Kyle. I know this is your website. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to look at this as if this is from a client standpoint. My experience is that wedding photographers fit into the category of typically not great clients that I would be excited to hear from. And the reason for that is they're kind of like, really with SEO, I want businesses that can grow significantly. And it should. So Kyle asked a question. I see your question, and I'll get to it. Typically, with like a wedding photographer, there's like, okay, well, there's only so many. Even if they're super high end, there's only so many weddings they can do, and they're not really typically looking to build a business so much as they are looking to be a photographer and build a job. And as a result, it's harder to justify paying $2,000 a month for 6 to 12 months. It's not impossible. I think that there are certainly ones that pay money, but I would think that typically their budget's going to be lower. So that's more from a business standpoint, less from an SEO standpoint. Now I'll talk about the SEO. Kyle agrees with what I just said. Okay, so anything you notice right here in the site colon, Michael?
Yeah, so let's look at that. Yeah, so again, when I'm looking at this again, I go with the assumption that just like when we do a keyword search and there's top 10 rankings on it, like the most authoritative, page on it is going to be the number one. So when I'm looking at it, I'm seeing the home page, then review page, blog, and it gets into like a bunch of other pages that I don't necessarily want on there. So I'm thinking that the first thing I'm going to be looking at is how well they're doing their on page as far as silos go, pushing up the big terms that they want to look at. And then from a standpoint of how well they're doing the titles and descriptions, it doesn't look too bad as far as like the titles and descriptions. I would probably get a little bit more aggressive on having some secondary keywords in the titles as well, so I can get more bang for my buck in my titles there.
Okay, let's take a look at what it looks like on the website. As a wedding photographer, I do think your website does need to be beautiful, and this is pretty cool. I mean, this is probably nicer than my website, and so from that standpoint, this is great from an engagement standpoint. I think you asked if you had, let's see, what did you ask? If you thought you should have that video from the homepage. I can't comment on this faster speed, but I can comment on engagement. Engagement is a very important factor in Google's algorithm. It's not really where you start, but it is something that once Google starts gathering data is the ultimate trump factor. It is the ultimate. It gives them the final result for whether or not they're delivering the kind of experience that their searchers are wanting. So, and the way that I would define that, the simplest metric is kind of time on site. And video is the best metric. I'm sorry, video is one of the best tools for increasing kind of the time on site. So I would probably leave the video. But if you're having site speed issues and it's really, really crushing your site speed, then maybe consider removing it. I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah, the biggest thing on the video on the site speed is where's the video hosted, and you definitely don't want it hosted on your site. So either Vimeo or YouTube to bring that up, or even like Wistia. And then you shouldn't really have too much an effect on the site speed load issue.
Also, I think this is somewhat competitive of a market from an SEO standpoint, even though it's not like a super profitable market from like an SEO contractor standpoint. Like the top wedding photographers probably book lots of gigs and have lots of choice in what they do. Let me check. So the title of the page is Seattle Wedding Photographer Bar Luma Weddings. You could probably mix in some more things in there. If we look at like your H1, if I can find it, let's see. It's kind of hard to read the code. What is this? Let me inspect this part right here. Some of this stuff I can't really do. Okay, so H1, I'm an award-winning Arizona and Seattle wedding photographer. Yeah, this is your H1. I wouldn't, if you're trying to look and rank in Seattle, I would remove all references to Arizona. It's not like it's a suburb of Seattle. Better to focus and win Seattle than to do mediocre at Seattle and Arizona. It's just kind of confusing, and it's to user and probably to Google as well. Let's take a look at your links as well. So you do have some referring domains, and I can see those increasing. And you do have some organic keywords. Let's see if I can. So let's take a look at that. And so you are getting some rankings for kind of long tail specific keywords, which actually is really, I think that's really savvy. I love these kinds of things, especially if you like this. I mean, from a business standpoint, doing this wedding in this, or this, doing the pictures in there in the same place over and over again, you're going to know the angles, you're going to know the times of day, stuff like that, which adds a lot of value to the customer. And I imagine that this also converts at a higher rate. So I'm a big fan. I would look for anything like this as opposed to just like Seattle wedding photographer. I love that you have this and that you're ranked for this. I would try to push this up even further if I were you, assuming that you like doing those. But you do have some links, so I don't think you need like links, assuming that those are good. His page score is an F from a speed standpoint. Those page score things are kind of hit or miss. I think sometimes they're good and sometimes they're not. So I would I would try to push these specific ones, assuming that you like those and that those are profitable for you. I would try to push those, and there's probably some on-page opportunities as well. Remove Arizona. Let's see, maps. So if I search Seattle wedding photographer, probably going to be some maps results. Yeah, you're going to want to do some maps SEO on that as well. So when you do have these rankings, so let's see for Seattle. I don't see Seattle wedding photographer anywhere on this kind of first list. Anything else you're seeing in your tools?
Yeah, as I'm going through and looking at some of the stuff that's on here, I would say that if you're wanting to do, because I noticed that there's 4 teams that are working. That's what you say on your website, right? So kind of building out profiles for those people if they're not, and then also like the area service. So think of it as almost like a franchise type of, or a business has multiple locations, and treat it that way. So if you're wanting to rank in Seattle, then you have a silo that's specifically for Seattle, and same thing with Arizona or the other places. And you can, yeah, and you can go and rank the specific team that deals with that area. Unless you all deal with that area, then you don't have to worry about the team and just focus on the area, doing it that way. So I think silo structure is going to play an important part in what you're doing here, because you have plenty of pages, you have plenty of referring domains, you have plenty of links. Yeah, I almost sound like a broken record right now, but I think a little bit more time on the on page stuff in silos.
Okay, cool. Well, let's move on. What was the other one that was given to us? I think it was by Nate. It's not showing me.
Hold on one second.
Changing how this works.
You have plenty of referring domains. You have plenty of links. Hold on a second. All right. Okay, so it was.
It's weird.
Let's see how I can get this link over to you. Did you find one from Nicholas?
No. I should have copied and pasted it right then. Damn.
All right.
They don't they only show like the last few comments, and I'm trying to figure out how to see deeper. At least to me, that's all I see. Let's see. Wait, questions? No. That's really weird. Nicholas, I apologize. If you could repost that URL, that would be really helpful, and we'll do that. We'll wrap this up with that.
I sent it to you in message.
Okay. Michael was kind enough to store that and send it to me. Okay. JeffLeeMortgage.com. Thank you, Nicholas, for your patience. All right. So, not taking any more submissions. It is already 30 minutes long, but we will take more questions. So let's take a look here. Oh, wait. That's annoying. Okay. Jeff. First of all, he's spelling his name wrong. Just kidding. Geoff.
Alright.
Let's go ahead and start here, since I got this up right here. Okay. So they do have some referring domains. What's their... The title of the page is Vancouver Mortgage Broker and Home Financing. Huh. So they're looking for... if somebody's searching for home financing or a mortgage broker. What else? There's something like a mortgage agent. Is there mortgage? Some other words that you would call like a mortgage agent, not a broker, because I think.
Well, yeah. So mortgage broker, loan originator, right?
Maybe Nicholas, you could slam a few more top keywords in there. Let's go here while he does that. That's weird. Jeff Lee. What is it? Let's see, here we go. Mortgage. Okay. Quite a bit more pages here. Oh wait, I'm not showing it. Let's see. Here we go. So Vancouver mortgage broker. Let's see how much that gets searched. Vancouver mortgage broker. Is this a client, I presume? Mostly going after Vancouver mortgage broker. Great content, super informative, very interesting. Can I share one of my URLs? Yeah, Luke, you can share one of your URLs. I think we're going to be out of time after this one. Go ahead and post it in there. And maybe what we'll do is, if this is really popular and people request it, we can do more of these on our Monday sessions. So, sorry, a little bit late. No worries, Luke. Okay, so private mortgage, but for inner pages. Okay, so this is the number one keyword's fine, or if there's any other major ones. So that gets searched 1,300 times a month. Vancouver mortgage broker. Vancouver, how big is that? Vancouver population.
Is that Vancouver, Washington, or Vancouver, BC?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's see.
Oh, it's Canada, so it's BC.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Proudly serving Canada. Okay, it's a big city. 675,000 people.
Yep.
So it's not surprising. Lots of homes there. I imagine it's nice over there. So that this is going to be competitive. Let's go back to. First of all, Michael, anything you notice on this this site search? I can scroll down. There's 358 results. So they have a lot of pages.
Yeah, it's almost the same stuff again. It really needs to pay a lot more attention to the on-page optimization, even if you're just going after like the private mortgages or anything like that. You still need to build out the silo for it, but the rest of the site is going to affect what's going on there. So like there's stuff in here that I'm looking at. Like I'm not sure what this the second listing is that's coming up there.
New.
That's like the new. Yeah.
Yeah. What they're telling you, what Google is telling you, is that this is their second most favorite page of your website, beyond the homepage. So it's something to pay attention to.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if I was a mortgage broker, then I think the types of things that I would like to see coming up in here, if it was like private mortgages, and if that was the term I was going after, that's great. But also the different types of loans that I'd be going after. So it might be something that's 30-year fixed or 15-year or just ARM loans or whatever else. I would like to see those up here as well. Because when if I'm looking for a home loan, I'm also researching the different types of home loans that are going to be available to me, and kind of go after those, like kind of pros and cons and stuff. And I do see reverse mortgages on here, a little further down. So that one's typically going to be for an older client, though.
And so let's take a look at what. So we look at this right here, and so he does have some mortgage services. Oh boy, that's pretty broad. Credit repair. There's a lot of different type of loans. So if we click on
and typically a mortgage broker is going to have a lot of different types of loans that they do.
Okay, I've never had a mortgage broker client.
This is where going in there and really having that really good silo structure is going to be super important coming in here.
So what you're doing right now with this, unless you are following these links, you're kind of linking every page to every page, which if you're trying to silo is going to reduce the effects of your silo. So I'm not from an SEO standpoint, doing these deep drop downs, then it's not like the worst thing in the world. There's plenty of big businesses that do this, but I think they get by. Like, I think I've seen like Sears and companies like that do this. They get by because they have just so much authority, so they're able to get away with it. But I think you're going to reduce the relevancy, especially with how there's kind of a pretty different things. Like the person you're targeting for like a reverse mortgage versus a student loan, those are two very different people. And so you're going to kind of want to put them on different pockets of your website. So that would be something where I would consider that. Although the client might like these deep drop downs, so you would probably have to make the case to them that, hey, I think it's going to give you a little bit of oomph. So what you would do is you could have these. I would probably take all the drop downs away, but you could take them just to where this first level is seen. And then if I were to click on this, then when I get to this page, then there's links to these more inner page things. You have any data or thoughts on these deep drop downs, Michael?
I don't have data specifically on it, but I do tend to agree with you as far as like this is diluting your authority across the site, and it's really making it difficult to silo anything out and push any specific content that you're trying to rank to the top.
Yeah. Again, you think about it, like I presume that this nav bar is on every single page, right? So you're linking every page to every page.
The nav bar, it's good for again, it's good for a customer or visitor to the website. But from an SEO standpoint, again, you can follow these links in the nav bar, so you can control again kind of a little bit more on what's going on with the solid structure.
Yeah, and I think that actually what Michael just said it's kind of assumed, but I don't even think it's proven that it is like a better user experience, these drop downs, as opposed to not having the drop downs. I question that assertion. I don't think it's really been studied that deeply. I think you get more. I think that there's some information that would contradict that to some degree. So if you really have to keep them, then at a minimum, no follow these inner links, so that you can kind of control the juice. But I think it's better just to remove them all together and have like on this mortgage services page. I'll click there. It's not even have a mortgage services page in the first place, and then have a link linked to all of these on the mortgage services page. That way you are siloing those out. Let's take a look at Ahrefs. So there are some referring domains, and it does look like maybe Nicholas has been working on it. Maybe he cleaned up some domains here. That it has been growing, although their rankings have been roughly flat, maybe a little bit up. They are getting some traffic. It's a little better. They have some referring domains, but I anticipate this being pretty competitive. So, but these keywords: rent to own Canada, Vancouver mortgage broker. All right, that's pretty good. Number 7. So you're on the first page. That's something you can hang your hat on. Hopefully, when you started this project, you weren't on the first page, and you took them to the first page. That'll give you a lot of leeway. But ultimately, the difference between being number 7 and being number 4 or like 3 is going to be huge. Not only that, but these also have maps results. So hopefully you're doing maps SEO, which is a little bit beyond the scope of what we can do right here to talk in detail about what you would do with maps SEO. Nicholas, I believe you're in one of my courses, so you should have my maps SEO. I would definitely push that hard, and work on improving your ranking in the maps for this client, along with the normal SEO stuff that you would do. Mortgage broker, Vancouver mortgage calculator. That's really nice. I like that a lot. Even though it's showing low volume, I still like that a lot. I think it's a useful thing that could get a lot of people into the door. I'm guessing it's actually higher than that, but just the fact that it's kind of like the number 1 keyword or a variation of the number 1 keyword is on the first page is good. Let's go back. We could look at the so now this one has more referring domains than the other sites we looked at, I believe. Or I guess the Seattle one had link referring domains. You would want to look at the referring domains to see how relevant they are. So if you have 180 referring domains, but it's all about dogs and guns, and you're trying to rank for mortgages, then that's going to be potentially an issue. So you probably want to look here to see, okay, actually let's do one link per domain.
While you're looking at that, David, just some general advice for like anybody that's dealing with a local business that has the opportunity to go after maps. if you're looking and you're tracking the keyword rankings for a lot of different terms, whatever, some of these tools will allow you to search for keywords that specifically generate a maps listing, right, in the search results. So you can focus on those keywords and especially on the maps SEO side, focus on getting rankings for those in the top 3, because that will drive more phone call volume than anything else.
Yep. The maps take up so much space and even more on the mobile device. Google loves that their maps listings are soaking up a lot of that traffic. That you look at a search result that has maps on it, and you compare what the #1 non-maps organic got in terms of click-through rate now versus what it got 5 to 7 years ago when the maps first started. I mean, I haven't seen the data on that, but I would be shocked if it wasn't dramatically less now.
It's like half. I think I saw some of that data.
I'm surprised it's not more than that, honestly. Just because the Google is pushing the maps. They like the maps. They get more ad revenue. They stay on their properties longer. So we got realestatevalley.ca. That's good. Properties, also good. I mean, those are relevant. So I would potentially look a little deeper at your links. If you're a potential client, I'm not going to do a full detailed link analysis, but if you hire me, and I'm going to look a lot deeper at the links, and see if there's some irrelevant ones or some bad ones we don't want. If you've been building links for a while and you haven't been focusing on relevancy, then that could be an issue. Of why maybe it's like the rankings aren't sticking as well. But you could always do more relevant, authoritative, trusted links. That's not going to hurt you, especially if they're like .ca. I imagine that also helps. Well, we've been going for 45 minutes now, so hopefully this was helpful. Any last minute questions, or Michael, any last comments?
No, I think I said it all. Really what it comes down to it, the sites that we looked at today, I think could get a better job on doing the on-page SEO, especially the silo structures, to get the best pages that they want on their websites ranking better. So I would say focus on the basics, and then when you get that down, the link building that you've done, if you've done that correctly, then it will just really boost your rankings to the top pretty quick.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, like the off page is the easiest. Well, not so much easy. It's not the easiest, but once you know what you're doing with off page, it's super easy to just kind of just slam links at something and feel like you're working on it. The on page takes a little bit more thought and a little bit more like checking, doing your homework type thing. So it's the less fun part for a lot of people, but a lot of times it ends up being less expensive, and it could be kind of a bottleneck that's holding a site back. So really take a good second look. If this is a project you've been working on for several months, come back to it and do a full kind of fresh eyes look and look at all the different ways in which you can improve that, and then do some changes and see where it goes from there. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. And feel free to leave, if you're watching the replay of this, feel free to leave a comment below. We'll try to reply to comments as they come in, either on Facebook Live, or I believe I'll put this on YouTube. So thank you very much, and have a great day. Bye.
Bye, everybody.